Welcome to MUTV News Monday night, where we have the latest update on Hurricane Sandy.
Hurricane Sandy is even affecting the campaign trail. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Aaron Maybin.
And I'm Rachel Landgraf. In our top story tonight.
Live from Marquette, this is your campus news source, MUTV News.
Passengers on a cruise ship headed for New York City will have to remain at sea for at least another day and possibly even more. Norwegian Cruise Line's Jim was on a 9-day Eastern Caribbean cruise sailing round trip from New York City. The ship departed New York City on October 20th and was scheduled to return today, but can't because all area ports are closed. Cruise ships are usually able to go around the storm, but because of the size of Sandy, it has become impossible for passengers on the ship, and the passengers on the ship are provided phone lines and internet so that they are able to call family members at home.
The Frankenstein storm isn't satisfied with spooking just the East Coast over this Halloween week, but it looks like it would be interested in touching down in Milwaukee as well. It is reported as a result of the storms, the shoreline could see waves up to 15 feet. Crews made fences, prepared structures, and cleared out buildings in preparation of the high winds and strong surf expected tomorrow. The Wisconsin National Guard is prepared to offer assistance for the state as well as the East Coast.
Despite being hundreds of miles away from the storm, Hurricane Sandy is still affecting plans here at Marquette University. The debate between Liz Cheney and Howard Dean, scheduled for this Thursday, has been postponed. The two participants will not be able to make it due to travel delays. The debate has been rescheduled for next week.
Students are being reminded by the Office of the Registrar to visit their advisor before registering for spring classes. Undergraduates should use their degree progress report under the academic advisement and checkmark to help with the scheduling. Spring registration begins on November 4th. Registration times have already been assigned and can be viewed on checkmark.
Listen up, upperclassmen seeking housing for next year. If you're planning to live in the university-owned apartment next year, the time has come to submit your deposit. All students interested must submit the $300 deposit to the university apartment office by Friday with the form of a check. For more information about the registration process, log into the University Apartments webpage.
And coming up on MUTV News, when we return, we have an update on the Azana Brookfield shooting.
And fire at a popular tourist destination. All that and more when we return.
Live from Marquette, this is your campus news source, MUTV News.
Welcome back. The owner of the Azana Spa has set a tentative date for the spa's reopening for December 1st. The Brookfield Salon was the site of a mass shooting that killed 4 people and injured another 4. Customers can already begin booking new appointments and purchasing gift cards on their website.
And a Milwaukee police officer has been seriously injured after a crash on the north side. The crash occurred at 11 a.m. with witnesses reporting a woman driving a van and trying to pull into a clinic. The squad car tried to pass the van but was unable to do so, causing a collision. One woman was taken to the hospital along with 2 others in the van. There were reports of a second van being involved, but it has not been confirmed by the police.
Milwaukee police are investigating the shooting of an 8-year-old boy on the city's north side. The boy and 2 women were shot early Sunday near 29th and Cherry. When neighbors awoke, they found bullet casings scattered where local children often play. Neighbors said they were shocked by the early morning chaos and are calling for action in the neighborhood and jail time for the shooter.
Fire raged through a popular Wisconsin tourist destination early this morning. Fire crews were called to the Noah's Ark Resort in the Dells after part of the building caught on fire. There was extensive damage to a gift shop. However, the building as a whole was not severely damaged. No one was injured.
The The campaign offices for Barack Obama and Mitt Romney stated the candidates will not travel to Wisconsin in order to focus on their efforts for Hurricane Sandy. Governor Romney was scheduled to speak in Milwaukee today at the state fairgrounds, but canceled out of sensitivity for those affected by the storm. The president has canceled his visit to Green Bay and will be monitoring the storm and damages from Washington.
A crane in New York City broke today as a result of the storms and is now hanging by a thread. Police blocked off streets and evacuated nearby buildings as the crane swayed from the 17th floor of the 157 tower, the tallest residential building in the city. Residents and city officials are confident the crane will come down and have already experienced falling debris. Several problems have ensued with the crane over the last couple months, including fluid leaks and defects in the wire rope that helps hold up the crane's boom. Police in Menominee Falls are telling people to be on the lookout for some highly caffeinated thieves. Authorities say that 2 separate Pick and Save stores have reported that someone has been stealing cases of Red Bull from them. Surveillance video shows a man taking a cart full of the energy drink out of the store without paying for it. Police say this could be related to 13 similar incidents around the area over the past year.
Live from Marquette, this is your campus news source, MUTV News.
Welcome back to MUTV News. We have the latest on Hurricane Sandy, with public transportation from North Carolina to Boston being virtually impossible today after being shut down after trains and airports were closed to the public. It is reported over 1,300 flights have been canceled as a result of the storms. The cancellations have had a ripple effect over the rest of the country, forcing delays over on the West Coast like San Francisco, and even grounding planes in Europe because of the closed airports in the United States. Amtrak closed all train services where typically over 300 trains would be running on a daily basis. It is expected these services will be closed for up to a week.
The beauty of being president and candidate is that when a monster storm stalks the East Coast, you can run to the Federal Emergency Management Agency and be as president on the job, which also works when you're reapplying. The president spoke to FEMA and believes it is important to respond fast as local information starts coming in. The president's campaign trips to Florida and Colorado have been canceled due to Hurricane Sandy. The president is staying home to monitor things, and some Republicans find that interesting. And when we come back, Ryan Burns will have your complete weather forecast.
All that next. Stay tuned on MUTV News Monday.
Live from Marquette, this is your campus news source, MUTV News.
We're fortunate to be living in Wisconsin tonight. As we take a look at some of these scenes, we really see just how far spread this storm is. We're going from all the way up the coast into Virginia, all the way into Maine, so really the entire eastern seaboard, and looking at some really major cities here. Places like Ocean City, New Jersey, I know we have some footage of that, where houses that are really right up against the shore are just at risk of being completely washed up. So that really is certainly a concern. But closer to home here, things are really looking quite a bit calmer. We had temperatures today hitting about 45, so a little bit below average, but really what we're looking at is around the average temperature for this time of year. Fortunately, we didn't have any snow or anything like that in the forecast today, because with temperatures the way that they are, we could certainly be looking at that. The other day out a little bit further inland, Waukesha, Washington County, they did see some flurries, but nothing like that today or anything predicted for the next couple days. Dew point at about 15, humidity 91%, which is really unusually high for this time of year, but that's what we're looking at. Winds pretty calm right now at 4 miles an hour, certainly in contrast to what they're experiencing on the East Coast, so we can be grateful we don't have that. Again, as I said, our high today 45, low hitting 32. Records must have been good to be back in 1925, 81 degrees. Sunrise, sunset times are certainly, those days are getting a lot shorter as we continue on here. Daylight savings next week. Taking a look around the country, 61 in New York City where they are bracing for the storm, 52 and 56 down south, 45 in our neighbors to the south in Chicago, sitting just about the same as us, same in Minneapolis, 59 in Seattle. Now take a look around the state. Things pretty steady around the state, all in the 40s, 45 in Green Bay, 48 up in Wausau. So we see that none of those cold pressure systems are coming in, but tonight, looking at partly cloudy skies, about 36 degrees, winds out of the south at 16. Winds are going to pick up tomorrow morning. As I said, mostly cloudy, another high of 48, pretty similar day to today. Winds out of the south-southwest at 23 miles an hour. So certainly could be holding on to those umbrellas tomorrow. Take a look at our 5-day forecast. Continuing partly cloudy throughout the week until we get to Friday, where things get a little bit sunnier, but really staying pretty calm. High 40s, low 30s for the low, so pretty standard for this time of year. So that's a look at your weather. I'm Ryan Burk, and we will turn it over to sports.
Hi, I'm Nina Guzman with your MUTV News Sports Update. It was a big weekend for the San Francisco Giants as they swept the World Series title for the second time in the past 3 years. Detroit and San Francisco fans alike were on the edge of their seats Sunday when the game rolled over into an extra inning. After a strikeout for Sergio Romo that ultimately caught Miguel Cabrera for the third out, the series game ended in the 10th inning. The final score, 4-3 Giants. This game came as a shock to both fans and players, especially with the Tigers scoring 2-run homers hit by Cabrera and Buster Posey. Earlier on, the Giants, who had been on the brink of elimination throughout the previous 3 games, came through and pulled this win off for both their team and fans. Basketball fans, too, experienced a shocking discovery this weekend after hearing that the Oklahoma City Thunder traded star player James Harden to the Houston Rockets. Harden quickly chose his new contract, assuring himself several more $1 million over a better chance of reaching the NBA Finals. The Thunder replaced their lost guard with new players Kevin Martin and Jeremy Lamb. Alongside Harden, Houston also received center Cole Aldrich and forwards Daquan Cook and Lazar Hayward. Here in Wisconsin, Packers fans are gloating over their 3rd victory in a row this Sunday, where they defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-15. This game was assumed by many to be an easy win for the Packers because Jaguars running back Maurice Jones-Drew is still out with his foot injury. Incredibly, Jacksonville managed to pull their weight up until the end, where their excessive penalties cost them the game. That's all we have tonight for sports, but stay tuned. MUTV News will be right back.
What started out as an innocent backwoods lunch turned out to be a disaster for a Michigan man. An unnamed man was attempting to prepare squirrel for a weekday lunch last week when his apartment caught fire. Authorities say the man was cooking the squirrel with a propane torch when flames broke out. The fire damaged 8 apartments. And we're joined here with Jacob Bourne. We're both, Jacob Bourne, you're from the Triv.
Yes, I am.
And you're here to talk about
Haunted Marquette.
Haunted Marquette, okay.
What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's a project I started about early October, and it's about the various ghost stories that people will hear, ranging from Cobian Hall to Humphrey Hall, and there have been a couple of new ones that I found out.
Which ones do you believe the most?
Well, there's one that I recently just found out about in Schrader Hall. That's one of the big stories in my article. And then there's one that a personal friend of mine, she found a ghost in her room. So that's a really interesting one.
See, I live in Schrader Hall on the 8th floor, and I don't know if I believe that because the 9th floor is right above me. I don't want to believe it, but I guess there's a story of an RA who broke his ankle. Did you hear that story before? A ghost?
That's part of it. I'm actually on that wing.
Oh, cool.
That happens to be haunted. So that's how I originally got the idea for it and how it kind of progressed from there. And I don't want to give too many details, but that is part of the overlying story with the entire haunting of Schrader Hall.
Interesting. Yeah, and I live in Carpenter on the 15th floor, and supposedly there's been a ghost on the upper levels. I read about it, that some boy got caught in a fire, but I don't know how much to believe or not. So I'm looking forward to reading your article, though. It'll be interesting.
Well, Jacob, thank you for joining us today. For Aaron Maybin, Rachel Landgraf, and Jacob Bourne, good night, Marquette.